Welcome back to another episode of the Sports Card Dad. We've got the hottest sports cards on eBay. It's our Saturday morning show, and my goodness, the PSA eBay store has some amazing stuff per usual. Just a reminder to you all that if you do grade cards with PSA, you can certainly send them home, but you can also send them to the vault and sell them through eBay. There's a lot of different options here now in 2025. Additionally, if you buy a card off of eBay, you can send it directly to the PSA Vault and maybe sell it later, depending on what you want to do with it. I am a sucker for these 2025 tops, the 1990 tops. This is what, the 35th anniversary design, and I am just such a sucker for these. Barry Bonds has not signed in a long time. This is one of those products that I think that Topps really nailed it on. I think there's some that they really have not, but this is one where, man, getting Bonds to sign and then these classic designs just takes me back to my childhood. It's all the childhood nostalgia stuff. And so this is one of those amazing cards. This one's sitting here at time of recording. It's about $152, ends in 4 days, so Monday evening. I think there was one that sold kind of in that $800 range. I was looking at eBay sold listings. $800, there's one for like $1,500 OBO, and there was an offer that was accepted. And so these can get up there in price, but man, I'm such a sucker for these. I do want to add one of these to my collection at some point, with Bonds and Willie Mays kind of being two target guys for me as far as autographs in particular that I want to be hunting for on the baseball side. Very cool. All right, here's another one. 2020 Topps Brooklyn collection. It does kind of have another kind of throwback design to it. And this, of course, though, is Shohei Ohtani autograph orange. It is numbered to 8. The auto looks just okay, but man, this is such a wicked card. I just love the look of this design. I know Ohtani does have a lot of autographs. This one's sitting here at about $3,900 OBO. Ohtani having another great season. I believe at time of recording, he's sitting at about 43 home runs. He's pitching again. What can't this guy do? He's basically Babe Ruth 2.0, it feels like. With what Ohtani's done in the game already, man, if he can just stay healthy, churn out another 5 years or so, I think he's 31 years old. If he can get another 5, 6, 7 years in the league and just rack up stats, he's already kind of one of these all-time great type guys. But, man, he could really cement his legacy here over the next few years. And I think a lot of people are buying Ohtani kind of in the same way that I think they're buying Patrick Mahomes. You know, say what you will about Patrick Mahomes, but Patrick Mahomes also about 30, I believe, 29, 30, but he's won 3 Super Bowls. He's done a ton. He's won MVPs. If we're comparing him against a lot of the other quarterbacks in the league, frankly, he's just done a tremendous amount already, and he still has, hopefully, a lot to go, a lot of time to go still. So we're going to see how it goes, but this is just one that I pulled out of the PSA eBay store. Just thought it was a really rad looking card. All right, if we're going to talk about Ohtani, then we have to talk about Aaron Judge. And again, I don't know what it is about these throwback type designs, but 2017 Topps Heritage, this looks a lot like 1967 Topps. I'm not deep into baseball cards like many of you are, but this looks a lot like one of those 60 sets, and I'm assuming it's 67 Topps. This is like 50th anniversary. This is a nice looking auto. Nice looking Aaron Judge auto, kind of a classic pose there. This one's sitting here. It ends on Saturday evening. So when this drops, it'll be ending tonight. This should drop on Saturday morning. Right now, it's sitting at about $2,000 at time of recording. I wonder what it'll be when this actually comes live. It looks like there's a fair amount of these. If we look at PSA 10 pop, there's 109 of these in a PSA 10. Let's just look at this. Yeah, there's 22 nines. There's quite a few of these in a 10, so they grade out really well. But my assumption here is that there's a lot of Judge collectors. This is probably the type of card that people are holding on to. They're not necessarily in a huge hurry. This is a nice rookie card auto, Topps Heritage, Real One autographs. Just a very cool card. To the 90s inserts, and man, Jerry Rice, Barry Sanders, Brett Favre, some of these guys, they've been absolutely red hot on the sales side. I just thought this was a cool card. It's a 1997 Skybox EX2000, a cut above, very popular insert, especially on the basketball card side. But this Rice sitting at $999 OBO. I'll see if I can put up a comp, if there's another sale, an eBay sale that I can put up next to this, or at least maybe look at card ladder data and see what I can find. If we look at the pop for this, so this is a PSA 8. You might be thinking like, it's an 8. Well, there are no 10s. So there's 17 9s and there's 16 8s. There's just not that many. The population in all grades, 43. And I think that's why a lot of people just really love this card. The killer, obviously, is going to be the edges. This is like a die cut card, essentially. Look at all the edges and all the places where things could go wrong on this particular card. And so that's why these are just very, very popular inserts, really tough grades. And this one, I mean, look, compared to some of the basketball versions, the greatest receiver of all time, this actually feels like a pretty decent price. But all right, so one of the all-time classics, 86 Topps Jerry Rice rookie card. He's looking over his shoulder. Actually, it looks like he's looking at the quarterback about to run a route, looking at Montana. This is an interesting one because it's a PSA 8.5. So my buddy Flippin' Steve just bought a PSA 9 at the National, and I believe he paid $2,500 or so for the card. So an 8.5, these half grades, sometimes you can really find good value in these half grades because an 8, I think that the population is so huge when you go down from 9 to 8. Yeah, 9 is 1,100, 8, 14,000. So the price point for an 8, it's probably a couple $100, maybe $250, $300. Yeah, something like that. And the 8.5, they're asking $1,000 because it kind of bridges a gap right there between the 8 and the 9, which is a lot more expensive. I personally kind of like these half grades. I've got my Star Jordan, my 84 Star Jordan 101. It's a PSA 5.5, and I like that. I like that when there's that half grade because it could looks as good as a 6. I round up, so I'll take the 5.5 up to a 6. No, I'm kidding. But I like these half grades. Some people don't like it. They're like, oh, it's a half grade. Just give it an 8 or give it a 9. I actually like a card like this, so I wanted to share. A guy that has been battling some health issues, but we were just talking about Jerry Rice. The other guy in the conversation for the best receiver ever is Randy Moss. We hope that he is recovering okay. He has had some illness that he's been having to deal with. I think he took some time away from the booth. This card popped out at me because I remember these autographics being really tough pulls. If I remember correctly, the pack odds for 2001 Fleer autographics autos are really tough, really tough. This one is in a PSA 6, and you're like, oh, it's a 6. Who would buy a 6? Well, there's only been 2 graded. There's a 6, and there's 1 higher than this. I actually am thinking about buying this card, trying to buy this card. It is an on-card autograph. Just again, these are really tough pulls. There's only ever been a couple of graded, and it's not that there's been only a couple graded because nobody wanted to grade them because they're not worth grading. It's because they're just tough to find from what I know about Fleer autographics. So I wanted to share this, just a really cool card. Another 1997 Skybox EX 2000 Essential Credentials, this time numbered out of 100. Some of the more popular inserts, 90s inserts in the hobby. This one is of infamous Brett Favre. Man, Brett, I pulled for Brett in the 90s against the Cowboys, and then just kind of post-career, it's gone sideways for him. His career ended a little weird, and then post-career, he's had some trouble. But there's a lot of people that's been big on Favre cards like this. This one's sitting here. It's in an SGC 6, sitting here at $11.99 or best offer. See if we can find some sort of a comp. It might not be in the same grade necessarily, but these do sell strongly. And one thing that, again, just kind of sticks out at me is the stars in football. They just don't sell near as much as the basketball versions of these, which I think is interesting. They have gained ground over the years. I mean, football PMGs have gone bananas, with Jerry Rice, Barry Sanders leading the way on that sort of stuff. But, this is an example of a card that, I know $1,200 is a lot of money, but we're talking about a pretty big type insert in the hobby in Essential Credentials, numbered out of 100. Just tough to find numbered cards in the 90s. And then these late 90s sets, they're just very popular. So this one, we will see if this one gets picked up, but very, very cool card. Now, what about just cool cards from your childhood, but that don't break the bank necessarily? Well, here's one of them for me. 1990 Fleer Larry Bird. I just love these base Larry Bird cards. If we're looking at any of those 80 sets going into the early 90s, that was the jam. This was a card that was in my binder when I was a kid. This is a PSA 10 Gem Mint version of the card, asking $55. Buy it now. There's not an OBO option. But, this card is kind of one of those where it's reasonably priced to be able to sell. 1,710s on the pop report, so it's certainly not a rare card. But it's one where if you want some early Larry Bird cards, they didn't make a lot of basketball cards in the 80s, so he doesn't have lots of basketball cards. I know this was 1990, it's not the 80s, but again, if we're just looking at the card options for a guy like Larry Bird, just not a lot. If we're going back to his rookie card, 1980, all the way through up to 1990, just not that many different cards, considering now when a player comes out, they've got about 1 billion different cards. When Zion and John Morant and Wemby and all these guys come out now, it's insane how many different cards they have and then parallels of those. This is a different time, and it's just a huge nostalgia time for me. All right, we've got a monster card here in the PSA eBay vault. It is an 86 Fleer Larry Bird PSA 10. There are 124 of these on the PSA Pop Report for PSA 10s. It's sitting at about $2,100, ends on Sunday evening at time of recording. And the last sale, there's a recent sale here of the last couple months for about $7,000. PSA 10s, I just think people are collecting a lot of PSA 10 type stuff, especially 80s type cards. We know that the 86 Fleer Jordan and a 10, what are they going for currently? 200, 250,000, maybe 175, but people are set collecting PSA 10s, or they might just be looking for the stars. Magic Johnson 86 Fleer in a 10, Larry Bird in a 10, and yes, it does command a huge premium compared to a 9, but man, it's just so rad to be able to knock one of these down in a 10. 124 10s, there's about 1,500 9s, and then, of course, 8s, there's 3,200 8s. Just a really cool card. Wanted to share because there's not lots of opportunities to be able to pick up this particular card. Pretty big Jordan insert, man. We've seen the Jordan inserts go bananas here, and this is another one, 1995 Skybox EXL, the Natural Born Thrillers in a PSA 10. There's only 57 in a 10, and one actually sold a few days ago for about $13,800. So this one's sitting at $4,600, ends on Saturday evening. So this should come out Saturday morning. And so Saturday evening, so tonight, essentially, when this comes out, this one will end. Will it be sitting at that point? But as it sits right now, this price point is pretty low compared to that last sale. Again, just not a lot of opportunities to get a card in a 10 like this. There's 57 of them, and a lot of people hunting for these Jordan cards, for these Jordan inserts and parallels from the mid to late 90s. Great card. And today, my friends, we will end here on a card from my childhood that, again, I would love to just collect PSA 10s of these particular cards. I might actually do it. 1992 Upper Deck. This is one that you pull out of a pack as a kid. It puts a smile on your face. This is such a great picture. He's going up for the dunk here. It ends on Monday evening. At time of recording, it's at $80. And so a relatively affordable PSA 10 Michael Jordan card. And look, you can get these cards as well that are ungraded, in that $5 to $10 range. So there are price points for all of these cards, whether they're in a PSA 10 holder, a PSA 5 holder, PSA 3 holder, or they're just ungraded. If you want to just put the cards in a binder, like I do with a lot of stuff, especially these types of cards, because they're just childhood memory cards, there's a lot of opportunities in our hobby, which is fantastic. But make sure to keep an eye on the PSA eBay store. Keep in mind that people are grading cards, and then they are selling them. So they are grading them. A lot of the new sets that come out, they're grading them with PSA, and then guess what they're doing? They're putting them in the PSA vault, and then they're selling on eBay. So a lot of the brand new stuff, not just 80s and 90s Michael Jordan cards or Brett Favre or some of the stuff that we've covered, a lot of the new sets that are coming out, they hit grading, and then they immediately go onto eBay in many cases, and they're here in this PSA eBay store. So make sure you save the PSA eBay store to your favorite sellers on eBay. Don't forget to use the code, my friends, $25 off your first submission over at PSA. Tell a friend who might have not submitted directly to PSA, save them some money, $25 off their first submission with the SCD25 promo code at the shipping and the billing screen. Have an amazing weekend, my friends. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.